Okay. Good evening, everybody. Obedo, obido lemo, obedo evola, no saya wimel. Obedo evola, no saya wimel. To a talk begin, Oba. Linda Cassidy, good evening to you, my prof. Good evening and welcome to this evening program. Aslem Ehinome, good evening, my brother. Big J Obiajaku, thank you. I can see you. Thanks for joining us this evening, or rather tonight, this afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Idubo Celestine, good evening and you are welcome. You are welcome, you are welcome, you are welcome. MC Blackie, good evening. Daosa Semi, I can see you. Thanks for joining. Irene Ogbewi, good evening to you. Ovio Whiskey, Mavo, Monime, Ubuwemidoi, good evening and welcome to the show. Phil Iwe Hoy Ogbe, good evening, good afternoon to you. Marvix Maxwell, I can see you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Good evening to you, Marvix Maxwell. Thanks for joining us. Good evening. Please just begin to invite, share, and invite right now as we are going to commence. I can see you, Eric Ogie. Good evening from Stockholm, Frank Dumays Okuns. Thank you. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Yes, so Godfrey Omorodion, good evening, my bro. Wegino Tarata, good evening to you. Good evening to you. Please, would it begin to press the invite button right now, the share button. Any Edo person you know on your friends list needs to be invited tonight. Abies Luxi, good evening to you. Robbie Sinodige, thanks for joining us. Godfrey Omorodion, thank you for greeting everybody. Miko Nico Dodgy, good evening, thanks for joining us. Precious Gold, Paris Akman, thanks for joining. Asemuta Honesty, good evening. Adeyomo Olusheyi, good evening. Thank you. Sarabo Michael Duwari, thanks for joining us. Please, I want you to share. I want you to share and invite every Edo sons and daughters that you know, because this evening topic is something that affects everyone. There is so much over the past week that have come into my ears, so much talk, complaints, and we really know where we stand. Jerry Judith Ogochukwu, thanks for tuning in. Everybody that want to know about the Edo Royal Stool, the Edo Royal Stool, and the contention right now from a certain family in the kingdom. I want you to really listen to me, because there's so much propaganda going on YouTube, Facebook, print media, and contesting about this, about the Edo Royal Stool, because I did some teachings about the origins of the Oba dynasty and my phone was busy. People started calling me from left, right, and center. Some are telling me that I'm not saying the right history, that this is not how it happened, that we are distorting history, that the palace of the Benin kingdom is distorting history, and all whatnot. So I became concerned. Where are all these coming from? So this evening, and people begin to call me. Especially, I noticed when I was talking about when I did on Oduduwa and how Oromio came to Benin and how he had this son called Eweka who became the Oba of Benin, Eweka the first. I noticed that on the chat line, some people were writing, talk about the Ekiokpara Treaty, talk about the Ekiokpara Treaty. Why did you not talk about the treaty? So one young man even wrote that any history about the about Eweka without Ekiokpara. Hello, thank you. Please, I want to make this. I want to sound this. Make this advice. Please, even if you see that my network is affected or there is any network disconnection, please don't log out. Just stay. We will make sure we come back and finish the discussion. Please, just begin to invite any of those sons and daughter that you know. Unjume, you've taught me the meaning, the way to pronounce your name. Thanks for joining. Unjume, comment ça va? Thanks for joining us tonight. So, Osa Ehigi, my bro, good evening, thanks for joining us. Please, I want you to share. I want you to share this very particular video wide. So, like I was saying, so after I make that video about the origin of the Oba dynasty, remember we'll be talking about the Ogiso dynasty, and we ended it with Oba Ogiso Owodo, who happens to be the father of Ikalade Ran, who eventually became the Oduduwa of Ife. No, then we now stopped that and we talked about the interregnum period where we have Avian and his son Erebo, who eventually became the Ogiamien of Benin. So we discussed the period of interregnum and the two rulers, the administrators. According to history, they were administrators. We talked about them. And from there, we now talked about the coming of Oromia, Oba Eweka, Oba Wahwahen, and Oba Ihemihen, all the way to Oba Ewedo. We talked about all of them. So now, people from the Ogiamien royal house, Ogiamien family, started calling me. And a lot of them started saying that the version of history that I am quoting is not correct. So I even have a lot of them, some called me from the United States. I even have an Ogiamien son who was actually a schoolmate of mine. We went to school together. He actually called me and decided to, and he was trying to talk to me that these things I was saying were not correct, and that this is I said, okay, please tell me the correct version. I was trying to ask him some questions, and he was telling me that he was going to get back to me. Actually, they started sending me materials. They started sending me materials concerning the Ogiamien and what they felt was the correct history of Benin. So they started sending me the materials, and I decided to read them and study them. And there were other people that were concerned. They now told me that there exist some videos on YouTube purportedly made by one Johnny, what's his name again? I think one Johnny, is it Johnny? One Johnny, actually, a member of the Ogiamien family, that he had made a lot of videos on YouTube, giving another parallel story to the events that happened in the kingdom, And he said, the guy sent me the video, and I went to YouTube and began to listen to this young man, and I saw, my God, a lot of distortion of history. I saw a lot of distortion of history, and I've seen that this guy is Johnny Sydney. Actually, his name is Johnny Sydney. Actually, I have a YouTube channel where he has been dishing out falsehood about the Benin Kingdom. And I've discovered a lot of people have been watching this dude, and I don't know such person existed, and that such channel existed, distorting history, rewriting history, changing my identity, changing your identity, and all that. So, actually, some of the Ogiamien children, people that called me, actually told me to desist, to stop talking about this matter, that it doesn't concern me. That the matter doesn't concern me, the history about the Ogiamien doesn't concern me, I should stop teaching people or telling people what I don't know. First of all, any matter that concerns the kingdom of Benin concerns me. And it concerns you, and it concerns every Edo sons and daughters. It concerns everybody. If you are telling a story or an history that relates to my kingdom, the kingdom where I am from, that because I'm a Benin man, it forms part of my identity. And when anything is changed from that story, you are interfering with my identity. You are interfering with where I am coming from. So you cannot say that it is not my business to discuss what affects the Oba of Benin and the Ogiamien family. You cannot say whatsoever affects our king affects us. Whatsoever affects our king affects us. Anybody that points a finger to the king of Benin Kingdom points fingers to the children of the king. And any child whose father is insulted in the public and keep quiet is not a good child. So nobody should say it is not my business, you know. Nobody should tell me I should desist from it, because as a bona fide son of the soil, I am part and parcel of the kingdom. You are part and parcel of the kingdom. Please, before we go deep into this discussion, please, I still want you to invite others. Just press the share button, invite others, and let us continue. And first of all, let me apologize for not coming in yesterday. I promised some people that were going to do teaching yesterday. We were supposed to talk about Oba Uwafiokun and Oba Ogun, which is the Eware the first, yesterday, but I couldn't because of some circumstances. So I needed to also interject this particular topic. When we are done with this Utantan thing, then we can now continue our historical teachings. But this one is very, very important that we discuss it. It's very, very important that we discuss it. So I don't know why somebody will be talking about Benin Kingdom, another person is talking about Utantan Kingdom inside Benin Kingdom. It is not heard anywhere. It is not heard anywhere. So, my brothers and my sisters, we are sons and daughters of Edo Kingdom, and nobody should tell you not to talk. All right? Don't let nobody tell you not to talk. Somebody was trying to actually warn me that a rhyme so you should mind how you talk in this matter. For God's sake, every family in Benin have the right to defend their kingdom, defend their king, and defend their heritage. Because when you mess with Edo history, you mess with my heritage. You mess with my identity. When you distort Edo history, you distort my heritage, you distort my identity. For those of you who may not even know me, let me first of all start and introduce myself, so for you to know who I am. My name is Saint Lexi Uji Osunde. Actually, my Benin name is Ugiamien Osunde. I'm not just a child of a nobody. So nobody should come and tell me your family is not. No. My family, my Osunde is the son of Ogiefa of Benin. Osunde that I bear, who is my grandfather, or great-grandfather, is actually the son of the Ogiefa of Benin. So if you go to Forestry by Nevis, you see Ogiefa Palace there. And if you go to Akpakpava, before is it Mary Magdalene, that hospital, the maternity home at Akpakpava, there is a palace just beside it. That is the palace of Osunde. So that is the lineage I am from. By virtue of that blood that flows in me, I am a bona fide Edoman. I am a bona fide Edoma. I'm just talking from my father, my patrilineal side, from the line of my father. If you go to the line of my mother is also the daughter of Iyase of Udo. So my mother is the daughter of Iyase of Udo. The late Iyase of Udo was actually the Okaigbe that did the burial of my own mother. When my mother passed away, the late Iyase of Udo, before this present one, was actually the Okaigbe that sat down in my mother's house and preside over the burial of my mother. So nobody should think that I don't have royal blood. Because if I want to tell you, the father of my mother, the father of my mother, the father of my mother is actually called, Edokpayi. Edokpayi is the only son of the daughter of Oba Ovorame that went to Udo to go and marry the Iyase. So I am on both sides. I'm a pure blood. So if every Edo sons and daughters want to trace their history, everyone, one way or the other, is connected to the palace. We are one way or the other connected to the palace. If you trace your history, either you are connected to one of the Obas, or you are connected to one of the the Ogisos. So nobody should come and tell you that you should not discuss about the king or the kingdom. The kingdom is our kingdom. We have one king, and that king is Oba Ewari II. Oba Ewari is the second, is the only one king that we know in Benin Kingdom. We do not know any other, and no other existed. Every other one is a counterfeit, and anybody that challenges the king is an Orioba. I go back type man. It is a saying in Benin Kingdom. I go back type man. It is an insult to the royal stool. It is an insult to the royal house, and it is an insult to the kingdom. It is an insult to the Edo people. For you to stand and begin to challenge the king. Obara Tokbe, he said, it is a word that we use to honor our king. You see, one thing I want to let this Johnny Sidney know is that there is no kingdom without a people. What makes a kingdom is the people. If you are claiming that you are important in a kingdom, where are the people that are lining up behind you? Where are the people that are lining up behind you? When our Oba sneezes, everybody in the kingdom catches cold. That is that is from the ancestor. They have built this institution. This traditional institution has been built from time immemorial, and every Edo sons and daughters honor it. We honor it. We revere it. We believe in it, and we uphold it. So no person should come and begin to bring something that is different. All right? So the propaganda against the Benin royal house by some purported members of the Ogiamien family, everybody should stand and stand against it. You should stand and oppose it. Well, let me salute those members of the Ogiamien family that have dissociated themselves from this madness. You know, I have understood, because after the videos they sent me, I began to watch online and discover that some people who says they are the real children of Ogiamien are not part and parcel of this kind of gimmick that is going on. So they dissociated themselves and they said they are not Oriomba and they are part of the Oba and they respect the king, and I give kudos to those people. But those few groups of people that are teamed up to begin to cast aspersion on the great kingdom, the royal stool, trying to change history, we Edo people stand against that. We stand against it, we condemn it, and we will not accept it. Why I'm giving this video is that I've never really seen anybody challenging this video on YouTube. And I never knew that this kind of videos existed. And they were trying to, I'm going to tell you some of the points that the guy was trying to prove. And I'm going to punch holes in all those points that he was trying to bring out. All those points he thinks what he's saying is the authentic history. I'm going to point holes on them. Thank God we are not all ignorant of our culture. We are not all ignorant of our history. We know where we come from. Okay? We know where we come from. All right? So, the Benin is one in undivided kingdom under His Royal Majesty, Ewari II. We are one undivided kingdom under His Royal Majesty, Oba Ewari II. Oba Ratokbeye, he said. So, I don't have a common saying. Enyawe agwoba type man. Orion by Fuede, Orion Zolo Ebetu. And it is a common knowledge in Benin. Orion by Fuede, Orion Zolo Ebetu. Agwoba type man. Agwoba Tile. So you do not become too bold. You do not think because there's civilization everywhere and you do not respect your king. Even if you don't even respect your own father, there is even a curse attached to it. Your own father, if you do not respect the father that gave birth to you, there is a curse attached to it. Not to talk of a king of a whole kingdom. The annoying part of this thing is that this same Sydney, maybe this Sydney is being sponsored by one rich Arisco to begin to distort history. They are trying to align with an history of the Yoruba people to authenticate it so that in order to trash the history of the Benin Kingdom. So how low can you be to shit in your own house? You shit in your own house and go and take refuge in the house of your neighbor who is challenging your father. I don't know. You shit in your own house. Your shit is smelling. You go and line yourself with a neighbor who is challenging your father. And you begin to tell that to your neighbor, don't mind my father. His house is smelling. Whereas you are the one that shit the shit that is smelling in the house. So, my people, let us look at what is happening. Now, when Arisco, Arisco declared himself as the Ogiamien, he was arrested by the police. That was prior to the coronation of the Oba of Benin. So when he declared himself the Ogiamien, he was arrested by the police. And they said, according to this said Johnny Sydney, that the case is currently in the Supreme Court. Okay. And he said, that the case is already in the Supreme Court, that Arisco has won the case against the Oba. First of all, let me correct one impression. When Arisco was arrested by the police, it was not the Oba that arrested Arisco. Even the case at the court is not a case between the Oba of Benin and Rich Arisco. Because after all this, I had to go and dig out information. I discovered that the case at the court is between Edo State government and Arisco. If this is a case between Edo State government and Arisco, because they discover that you have done something outrageous and you are trying to breach the peace, and they decide to arrest you for contravening the law, why are you now dragging the name of the king into the case? Why are they now calling it the case between Oba and Arisco? Because when I begin to listen to people, Arisco win a case against Oba. What? But there was not a case instituted against Arisco by the Oba of Benin. Who is this Arisco that our king will now begin to go? You can't challenge the stool. You can't challenge the royal stool. You cannot challenge. If you are a bona fide Edo child, I go about type man. Anybody who could challenge the king, they should check his blood. They should check his lineage. They should check where he is from. Because the Ogiamien family has actually come out to say that Arisco is not a direct relative of the Ogiamien. Now, some of you that are alien to the story, everybody know of Ogiamien Palace in Benin City, in Sakbomba Road, between 2nd and 3rd, almost opposite Isieme Road. That is where the Ogiamien Palace is. And traditionally, when the sun sets in Benin, and a new king is going to take the throne of the former, there is a traditional rite that is performed because of history's sake. And this rite is one of the things that the Benin Kingdom have done to preserve their heritage, to tell their story, thank you, my brother, my prophet, Oscar Gobadia. Whoever challenges the king challenges God. Exactly. Whoever challenges the king challenges God. That is one thing people do not understand. That's one thing people do not understand. God allowed king to rule over people for a reason. Even a king that was rejected by God, in the person of King Saul in the Bible, David still could not challenge him. Though he was already rejected, he said, "Who am I to speak against the Lord's anointed?" That was somebody who was anointed by God, and God departed from him, withdrew his hand from him, yet the ordination of God was still upon him. So let us go on. Now, we all know that there is traditionally, when a new king is going to be installed in the throne, in the kingdom, there is a mock battle. A mock battle is a way, because those days we don't have television. We don't have, there was no written document. There was no, the only way our elders, our culture have been able to tell our story is to reenact part of the things that have happened in the past. That reenactment is a way of preserving culture. That does not mean that when the king does that the mock battle, that the king is invariably trying to tell you that they are indebted to you. They are trying to tell a story through the mock battle that happens between Ogiamien in 1200 and the Oba, the Oba Ewedo. So there was a battle that happened at Ekyokpara and a treaty that followed, but this is a mock activity. So the Ogiamien of Benin, not Ogiamien of Utantan, Ogiamien of Benin, was Osarabo Ogiamien, or Ogiamien Osarabo, so to speak. And according to the family, he has been mixing for quite some time. For almost 20 years, the Ogiamien has been mixing. And now, the Ogiamien is missing. The Ogiamien family did not deem it fit to find out what happened to their chief or the head of their family, the person they are trying to claim to be a king. Assuming a king just disappear, and for you to come and tell us that your king, assuming, no, don't get me wrong, well, I'm not saying he's a king, assuming he was a king will disappear from a kingdom, not 1 week, not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, not 1 month, not 1 year, not 10 years, not 15 years. A king will just disappear, and the subjects don't care. The chiefs that are claiming themselves to be chiefs under the king don't care. They don't even know the whereabouts of the king. How absurd can that be? What kind of kingdom would that be? What kind of kingdom would that be? When our Oba lives, we know when our Oba went to Abuja, everybody know where he was. He went to Sokoto, we all knew. He went to Lagos, we all knew. Even when he went to visit some parts of the kingdom, like in Ekboma, Opoji, we all knew where our king was. How can your king disappear for years upon years upon years? You are saying he's a king. Because according to the new narrative by this Johnny Sidney, is that the Benin kingdom has the two kings. According to him, there is one king at Utantan and there is another king at Ogbe. This is what he's trying to say. Now, assuming, God forbid, assuming that it is true that you actually have a king at Utantan, your king will disappear for 20 years and you are not ashamed. You did not bury your head in shame. You did not bury your head in disgrace to come and tell the whole world that your king disappeared for 20 years and now you want to become king in his stead. Is that not a disgraceful act? So, because of greed, personal aggrandizement, somebody came from nowhere to declare himself a king. Declare himself a king. Apart from declaring himself a king, they are not even saying that their kingship is even superior to the kingship of the Oba of Benin, that the Oba of Benin should bow before them. That is what I saw all over the video, that this funny human being is trying to say. And his mouth was not heavy. His mouth was not heavy to say such a thing, that the Oba of Benin is subject to the Ogiamien of Benin. You will see how ridiculous his claims are when we go further. Very, very ridiculous. Very, very ridiculous. Almost said Adenomo, thank you for joining us. Please, I still implore you to share this video right now. Invite and share. Because what we are talking about right now is so serious. It concerns everybody. It concerns you. It concerns you. It concerns your identity. Somebody is trying to change your identity. Just imagine if somebody succeeds in putting your king under himself, where would you be? Because we are all under our king. We are all under the Benin king. The Benin king. The Benin king is supreme in the kingdom. So somebody is bringing a lot of logic, a lot of gimmicks, because I'm going to give kudos to this guy. The guy, when you listen to him, he's eloquent and he looks well read. So he's very eloquent and his diction is kind of good. when he speaks, he's phonetic in his speech. So because he has good speech, and some people will be swayed by his sweet talks. Some people will be swayed by his TikTok. Ordinarily, I shouldn't even be talking about this. It's sort of a taboo to even talk about this. Some of the things that this man was alleging is even a taboo as a son of the Oba of Benin to talk about this. But I have to talk about this because of people that may be led astray by these people. Okay, so they should know that an attack on the king of Benin is an attack on every son and daughter of Benin. It's an attack on every son and daughter of Benin. Now look at what he said. He said because the Ogiamien family did not have money to disseminate information, so he took it upon himself to enlighten people on social media about the origin of the Benin Kingdom and the Ogiamien family. That he has taken it upon himself, that he is going to fight this battle to the end. You are fighting who? If you fight the Oba, you fight the whole Benin Kingdom. You fight the king, you fight the whole Benin people. How can you fight against the whole people and you think you will succeed? You cannot succeed. You can try to twist history for children, not for people like us who know our history, who know where we are coming from. You can't twist history for us. We educate you. And we will educate our people. Yes, everybody are not equally enlightened in the history of their people, and that is why God is raising some of us up to begin to talk like this, to begin to educate our people, so that when we know where we are coming from, no one person will stand somewhere and twist your history. Because when your history is twisted, your identity is twisted. When your identity is twisted, you are a lost personality. You become a lost personality. Now, he said there was a high court ruling in favor of Rich Arisco, stating that he committed no crime in declaring himself a lessor of Benin land to the Oba of Benin. Now, when you say he's a lessor of Benin land, which means he's invariably inferring that the whole land of the Benin Kingdom belongs to one particular family, and that land was now leased to the Oba of Benin, and that that when he went to court, the court said he did not commit any crime. He was trying to twist it. He was trying to twist it, and that's not what happened at the court. I discovered that what happened at the court was that when he declared himself as the Ogiamien of Utantan, and the Edo State government arrested him and charged him to court. Then his lawyer was trying to there was a judge. There was a judgment, I think, at the magistrate court that forbids him from that. Then he now challenged. There was I think it was an injunction, or not even how will I put it? It's not even a judgment. There's the difference between judgment and ruling. So it's not even the final judgment. It's like somebody trying to say, no, this court does not have jurisdiction to try this case. And the other one say, no, this court have a jurisdiction to try this case. That is where they are. They have not even actually gone to the judgment per se, the case per se. It's one party saying, this court does not have the jurisdiction to try this case or the capacity to try this case. And the other party is saying, yeah, this court has the capacity. And there was a ruling at the Court of Appeal. And it's like they said, okay, this court has actually right to try it. So that is where they are. Not even what winning is he saying that he is winning. And how could you say that the whole land of the kingdom belonged to one particular family? One particular family. How did that happen? So it is that family now leads the whole kingdom to the Oba of Benin, so that when the Oba of Benin ruled, and at the end of his tenure, then when the son want to take over, the son will now lease the land again. So you see them trying to twist a mock battle, which was a pattern or a system of trying to immortalize our history. This is something that happened in 1200 AD. And this Ekiokpara Treaty and the mock battle that is happening at Ekiokpara is something that actually our ancestors actually used to preserve the story that happened in the past. It is not that they are buying any land from anybody. It's just like a form of reenactment of history, so that we will know what happened. That was our ancestors were so intelligent that they used this system to protect. To protect and bring it to our memory what happened in the past. And this is some of the things some of other kingdoms don't have in Nigeria, and which we should be proud of it. But for one family to just come from nowhere, they want to use it as a leverage to challenge the authority and the rulership of the kingdom. It's so appalling. It's so appalling. All right? And this thing was saying that the Ogiamien has rights according to the law of the federal law that empowers the Ogiamien to appoint himself traditional council of chiefs. He said there is a law in Nigeria that empowers the Ogiamien to appoint himself traditional council of chiefs. Now, let him show us the paragraph in the federal law that specifically mentions that the Ogiamien has power to appoint traditional chiefs. That if there is a law in Nigeria that stated the Ogiamien family has power to appoint traditional chiefs. You see, because the guy is eloquent and good at speech, he will say certain things and people will not care to verify and believe him. Because I see some people making comments, some are believing him, and some are who are real sons of Edo are giving him the back end of the baton. So let him come and tell us what paragraph in the federal law that specifically mentioned that the Ogiamien has power to appoint chiefs. That he also said that during the invasion of the Benin kingdom, that the British had thought that the Oba of Benin was in charge of the whole kingdom. Now, if you say there were two kingdoms by 1897 when the British invaded the kingdom, according to this Johnny Sidney, he said that there were two kingdoms. The kingdom of Benin at Ogbe and the kingdom of Utantan, Benin. You know, but he is this one that is also saying that the British had thought that the Oba of Benin was in charge of the whole kingdom. So he meant to tell us that the British did not know, even from the people in the riverine communities, the domain of the king they have been trying to deal with. The British have been sending emissaries to the kingdom prior to the invasion of the kingdom. It's not that the British just came from nowhere. They have been coming, they have been dealing. Remember that prior to this time, they have dealt with Jaja of Opobo. They have all the riverine communities and their leaders. They have heard the story of Oba Ovorame from him, from them and his father. They knew the territory of the kingdom. How could you say that there were one palace, one kingdom from Ogbe, between the present-day Oba Palace and the Ogiamien Palace? It's less than 2 kilometers. Let's just put it on give or take. Let's say 2 kilometers. How can you have two kingdoms existing pari passu with their palaces not up to 2 kilometers apart. What are these people trying to prove? And one king will now decide to fold his hand where he had a parallel kingdom across his fence. Deciding. So when this man talks, I don't understand. Okay, where is the demarcation? He was saying the demarcation between the kingdom of Benin and the Utantan kingdom is St. Matthew Cathedral by Asoro Primary School. That is where the demarcation is. If that is the demarcation, okay, you ended the demarcation only from Sakmamba Road. Does it not extend to Saple Road? Where is your demarcation by the Saple Road side? Because if you follow where he said the demarcation is, if you go to Saple Road, it's exactly where you have the High Court of Justice. So where is he now telling us the demarcation is there? And if you are saying, what if you go to Akpakpava and forestry? Are you now saying that my grandfather's territory, which is Ogifa territory at forestry, falls under your domain? What are they trying to say? It's so confusing when you hear this man talks. He kind of contradicts himself in his various videos. When he makes one video, he will make a statement. When he makes another video, he contradicts what he made in the previous video. So if you don't try to put them together to analyze them, you will not even figure out what he's trying to say. So, my people, I go back type, man. If you have not heard that word before, hear it tonight. I go back type, man. Orion by FWD. Orion LY. Now, this one is no longer Ozolwana. This is by LY the second. Orion by FWD and Orion by LY Betu. Yes, it is Iyara Otono. Iyara Otono. So, the Eminimado Vavevo, I know. Iji, I go back, man. So, civilization does not preclude you from that. Civilization does not preclude you from that. There are certain things that are naturally inherent. There are certain things that are divine. There are things that are divine. Divinity is part of nature. Okay? So if you do not respect your authority, people that God has set to be rulers over you, as far as the person has not violated the laws of nature or laws that are repugnant to natural justice, you should submit yourself to such rulership. But when a child who is supposed to be a child of the kingdom now saying that the British did not thought that the Oba of Benin was in charge of the whole kingdom, they thought? How are you saying they thought? The British knew who was in charge. The British knew who they came to see. The British knew who they have to liaise with. The British, they knew who was the king. Ogiamien was never a king and will never be a king. Even the first Ogiamien was never a king. The first Ogiamien was Ogiamien Erebo. He was never a king. His father, who was Evian, was never a king. So, we will get to those points and I'll clarify you later. So, according to this Sydney, he said that when the British captured and deported of our Ogiamien to Calabar, they found out that there was another kingdom at the other side of Benin called Utantan. He now said that Utantan kingdom ran from Sakmamba Road to Iyokoriyomo to Uhumode and Ikpobaoka. So he was trying to say that there was a kingdom within a kingdom. that there was a kingdom within a kingdom. That when the British came, before they came, they never knew that the Oba of Benin, they thought the Oba of Benin was controlling everywhere. That when they eventually came, that they've now found out that there was another kingdom at the other side of Benin called Utantan. Now, a place, one thing, now some of you are hearing of Utantan for the first time. And I believe so. I know I have a witness. If you know you are hearing the word Utantan for the first time as an Edo man or Edo woman, if you know this is the first time you are even hearing of Utantan, just write there. Let us count. Let us see if there are not up to 10 people that are hearing of Utantan for the first time. And you said you are a king of Utantan, and some people are just hearing of it, of your own kingdom. An Edo man is hearing of your own kingdom for the first time from person like me. What kind of a king are you? What kind of a king are you? Utantan kingdom. Now, Utantan is the name of Sakbomba Road. You see? A lot of people are hearing for the first time. Nekmen is hearing for the first time. Edo is hearing, diaspora, Stella George is hearing for the first time. You see, a lot of people are now, you are telling us that you were a king of Utantan, and I'm supposed to be a subject under you, and I don't know the existence of my kingdom. That is what Germans call blood. Say you blood. Something is wrong somewhere. How can you? Now, Utantan is just the old name of Sakmamba Road. You see, Ogiamien. A lot of people are hearing of Utantan Kingdom for the first time. How then are you now a king? How then are you now a king? You don't have a grasp of the people you think you are now purporting to be ruling over. How are you now a king? Now, he now said that Utantan Kingdom it comes from Sakbomba Road to Iyekoriyomo to Uhode and Ikpobaoka. And when he said that, I just burst out laughing. Because, first of all, Uhode and Ikpobaoka just became a local government recently under this political era. So you are now saying Ikpobaoka, Uhode, Iyekoriyomo, Sakbomba Road. Utantan was the name of that Sakbomba Road. It was the name. Then when the British came, I think they changed the name to Sakbomba. So invariably, it's like Ogiamien was just like the Ogiamien, so to speak, of Sakbomba Road. The Ogiamien of Sakbomba Road. Now, I want to ask him a question. Please, whenever you hear me mention Ogiamien family, I want you to have at the back of your mind that I'm not referring to all Ogiamien's children. Because there are some of them that have actually dissociated themselves from this madness. Many responsible and reasonable Ogiamien children, they came out en masse and dissociated themselves and pledged themselves under the authority of our Oba. So, in all honesty, in all truth, I'm not referring to such people. When you hear me talk about Ogiamien family, I'm talking about Rich Arisco and his cohorts and Johnny Sydney. These are the people I'm referring to. So, my Ogiamien people, with all due respect, forgive me if I keep on using the word Ogiamien family, Ogiamien people. I'm not referring to you. You know who I am referring to. All right. Now, I want to ask one question. When the British came in 1897 and sacked the kingdom and burnt down our palace and carted away all our artifacts, how many did they take from the Ogiamien kingdom? Or the Ogiamien palace? How many? Now, if your kingdom extends all the way to Iyekoriyomo, How come they call Evo Dobian? Evo Dobian, Evo Yoba. How come? Evo Dobian, Evo Yoba. How come that? Because in Benin Kingdom, if any, like back in the days, if you kill an elephant, the tusk, that elephant tusk, which is the ivory tusk, the teeth, that long one, is carefully removed and taken to the palace. How many elephants killed in Ogiamien from the time of Eweka I to the time of our present Oba Ewari II was taken to the Ogiamien palace? If you are claiming, if it is true that Ogiamien is actually a king over the Ogiamien people, over the Uhonde. Now, do you know that Uhonde is actually known as, the Bobahi area is called Ogiamien, that we commonly we corrupted to Ogiamien today. Ogiamien is actually Ogiamien, the town of the people that kill elephants. So all the elephants killed in Ogiamien, the tusk were brought to the palace of the Oba. So if you are saying that your kingdom extend to Ogiamien, that was actually your territory, why would any hunter kill elephant and bypass your palace and bring the elephant tusk and bring it to the palace of the Oba of Benin? They need to answer that. They really need to answer that. Why would anybody bypass you, who is saying you are the king of the people? They now bypass you, go to a palace of a parallel king who is not their king, and pay homage and pay obeisance and give tributes. Okay, so that is one. Now, behind Ogiamien Palace, there is an ancient street there called Orobaton. This street is called Orobaton. What is the meaning of Orobaton? Why is it not named Ogiamien? Or why is it not named after Ogiamien? A street in your backyard, in your own domain, is named after the Oba of Benin, and you are claiming ownership of that same area. This is Orobato in your backyard. If you are actually the king of even the streets where you have your palace, if it is true that you have control over that area, let's forget the rest, Ogiamien, Uhonde, and wherever, you know. Why is Orobato not named after Ogiamien? Why is it named after the Oba? Question. Directly opposite Ogiamien Palace is a quarter called Isiemero. Why is it known in Benin Kingdom that Isiemero no Sieme no ba? Isiemero no Sieme no ba. This is your neighbor. This is your own neighbor who is living opposite you. Chief Isiemero, very close to you. So it is according to the narratives, the Isiemero is supposed to be the quarter of Ogiamien. Now, if it's the quarter of Ogiamien, why would somebody leave your kingdom, a chief and a great personality like Isiemero, will now leave your kingdom? It's not subservient to you, it's not under you, and it goes to the palace in another kingdom, in Ogbe, and submit to that king and walk under that king. Why is it called Isiemero no Siemenoba, not Isiemero no Siemeno Ogiamien? So if you let us begin to ask such questions. Now let's leave that one, because I know they don't have answers to this. Now, he said that the British drafted a law to make sure that the treaty between the Ogiamien and the Oba of Benin was legally binding. So, he said they drafted. You know, when they say they draft, it means something was written. Okay? If the British drafted a law that there's a treaty between Ogiamien and, first of all, let me just say for the purpose of English language, that this word we call treaty is actually erroneous. You know, it is actually erroneous to even refer to what happened at Ekiokbiara as a treaty, because a treaty is supposed to happen between two nations. And what happened at Ekiokbiara was not two nations. It was one kingdom who was having a civil war between themselves. There was one kingdom having a civil uprising, so to speak, and a lot of people were dying, and they came to an accord. They came to an accord. It is actually called accord, not a treaty. Now, do you remember what happened between Nigeria and Biafra? Even at that even Biafra had a secession. They even seceded. Biafra seceded. They had their own army. They had their own currency. They had their own president. They had their own everything, national anthem. They had their own everything. But when they had to sit down and discuss, what the agreement they arrived at Ghana in Aburi is even called today the Aburi Accord. It's not even called a treaty, because a treaty has to happen between two different nations. So this was even an accord. Now, I want to even go forward to even say it is not even an accord, it is even an agreement, because at that time, there was nothing written down. It was just an agreement between two opposing factions. So they now agreed, our people are dying, let us put a stop to it, and this is what happened. Nothing more to it. Now, for you to say that the British drafted a law, okay, if the British drafted a law to make sure that the treaty between the Ogiamien and the Oba of Benin was legally binding, where is the law? Where was the law written? Is it in the Macpherson Constitution? Where is the law written? They should provide evidence of the law. If you are saying it is in a law, then it should be in the Constitution. So all the laws of even Macpherson Constitution, we still have it in libraries. Go to High Court of Justice library, you see all this Constitution there. Because back between 1985 and 1990, I was working in the library of High Court of Justice, Benin City. I was inside that library for about 5 years. I worked there as a young boy then. I worked in the High Court of Justice. Some of you who knew me then. So I know that the High Court of Justice have all the ancient books. We have books dating to the probate division, the probate division, even all the laws for the All England Law Reports. We're talking about ancient books from 1700, 1600. There are a lot of books in that library. So you want to talk of 1959 Constitution. So they should bring a copy of that thing that was drafted. All right? Please, you guys should stop the Anosage matter here. We are talking serious business here, please. Talking serious business. Whoever is writing Osage is 419 or whatever, that's not what we are discussing here. If the day we discuss who is 419 and who is not, we will let you know and we'll discuss about that. All right. Now, Now look at what he said. He said the British conquered the Benin kingdom of the Oba of Benin and the Benin kingdom of the Utantan. I don't know what this man was trying to say. Please listen to me. Let me quote it so that you can, if you understand it, let me know that you understand it. It's like he said the British conquered the Benin kingdom of the Oba of Benin and the Benin kingdom of the Utantan. No. How do you have the Benin kingdom of the Oba of Benin and the Benin kingdom of the Utantan? I don't know. How many Benin kingdom was he trying to refer to? Do we have the Benin kingdom of the Oba of Benin, Benin kingdom of the Utantan? Now, he used to say that there were two different kingdoms, but now he's not saying there is Benin kingdom of the Oba of Benin, there's also Benin kingdom of the Utantan. Invariably, he's trying to say probably there is one kingdom now, no longer two, but with one palace at Utantan, another palace at Ogbe, and two kings were now ruling the Benin kingdom at the same time. And too much contradictions, my sister Linda. So how could you, who was subject to the Ogiamien? In their mind, it's like there's, you see, I when I started listening to them, I was thinking probably in their mind they are thinking that the Benin kingdom of the Ogiamien is around maybe first secular Sakmamba Road, then second by Kyosa. When you carve it out, the front of Ogiamien from first to second, then you go back to Uwa Street. You carve out a quarter out. Probably that is where they are referring to as Ogiamien Kingdom. But I now discovered that inside this small quarter, which is sometimes some people have an estate larger than that in Nigeria as we speak. Even in Benin, there are some estates that are larger than this area. Inside this same estate, there is a Orobato inside. So even if there's a Orobato inside, how can you claim ownership of a place that is named after somebody you are saying? It's so confusing. It's so confusing. The Benin kingdom of the Benin kingdom of the Oba of Benin and the Benin kingdom of the Utantan. So it's confusing. So now this young man went further to say that from 1255 AD to 1979, he said that the treaty has been in force and that Oba Erediawa signed it. He said there was a treaty between 1255 and 12. Remember, 1255 was when Oba Ewedo and Ogiamien came to that accord and said, let us cease fighting. Okay, so 1979 was when Oba Erediawa was enthroned. So he's not saying that within this period that this treaty was in force and that Oba Erediawa signed it. For Oba Erediawa to sign, it means it was documented. All right? Who documented it? And when did Oba sign a treaty to cede or to agree to a treaty that the Ogiamien is the landlord? He is the tenant. And if Ogiamien is the landlord and our Oba is the tenant, and we are all children of the Oba, invariably we are all tenants. So Benin Kingdom only belongs to the Ogiamien because we have to be under our father. So if our father is a tenant, we are all tenants. So by the time we all leave, Ogiamien family will be the only people in the whole kingdom. He is forgetting that it is not only the Benin-speaking people that are under the Oba. We have the Esa. They are under the Oba of Benin. And all the Enegi or Oloja of Ishan land, they all gather, they honor our Oba. and they call him their father. When you go to Afema, Esako land, they are still all under the Oba. If you go to Ora, they are still all under the Oba. So if you go to Lagos, the Oba of Lagos is still under the Oba. So what is going on here? So if all this land belongs to you, and our own Oba is a tenant, so if you now kick out our Oba, you must kick us all out and rule who? Even when we are going, we'll go with our chicken, with our cow, with our goats, our ovuko, all the livestock. We'll go with everything. So who are they going to rule? A people that could not find their leader. You could not find the head of your family for almost 20 years. You are coming out to the public domain. You could not. The Ogiamien was missing according to you. You could not. You don't even know what happened to him. You don't even know what happened to your leader, your chief. And you were... Now, let me ask, there is one thing that the sister of the President Ogiamien, not Arisco now, the Ogiamien Osarobo, the sister said, Oteme maewu, ovioma or yuhuoma. Arisco virame, mama Arisco de, eti dori huoteme. So if you are a Benin person, you understand what that woman is trying to say. So now, you in Benin, I want to ask one question. I assume that a lot of you, 90% of people listening to me are Benin people or Edo people. When I say Benin or Edo, we know where we are talking about. Edo, Benin, Esan, Afema, Ora, all the people under the jurisdiction of our great Oba. Now, in our culture, when your father dies, there is no inheritance shared until there is proper burial. True or false? True or false? When somebody dies in the kingdom, you will never you will never share the property of the dead until there is burial. So even some cases, if you never participated in the burial of your father, when the family are sharing the properties of the dead father, you will be you will be sidetracked because you do not pay for the burial, you do not participate. So now, how could you have not looked for the Ogiamien Osarobo that you said was mixing. You have not looked for him. You have not found him. He's not been declared dead. He's not been properly buried. How could you install another chief in his place? That is what greed can do to anybody. That is what greed can do to anybody. If you can condescend to a point where you have to you have to begin to share the property of somebody you are saying is missing, not dead, not buried, and you are sharing his property. What if tomorrow he comes? When he comes, it becomes a problem. When he comes, it becomes a problem. Then you now say, and once you have tasted power, it is difficult for you to relinquish power. You know, it's so funny because I watched a video where somebody was actually saying, Ogiamien, Nokaro, Usaubo, okay, he was using English. He was using the word English. He said the former Ogiamien Osabo, that he crowned him. That this present Ogiamien, which is rich Arisco, that he equally crowned him. Now, a kingdom where only one person has to crown a king. One person crown a king. And in the wisdom of our ancestors, right from time immemorial, it has been a Dionysian that was crowning the Ogisos. All the way from the Ogisos down to Oba Ewedo, they were crowned by a Dionysian. It was even Oba Ewedo that now added to it to make them about 7, the Uzama. A Dionysian, we used to call them a Dionysian. Later they became known as the Uzama. And the Uzama, right now, there are 7 people. Now, 7 people crowning one king. Now, there's one person saying, I crowned him. And I saw whether the coronation, there was a video, I don't know. You saw pockets, even Enogie in Benin Kingdom, when they are even doing ceremony, it's 10 times more people than what I saw there. They were just making mockery of the Ogiamien family. It's like most of the Ogiamien people were not even there because they knew that this thing that was happening was just a charade. So the responsible Ogiamien children, they dissociated themselves from that activity. Now you are now saying you could not bring together the Ogiamien family to the money they are spending on installing this particular person on propaganda, YouTube channels, television, court cases. If they pull those resources together, they would find out what happened to Ogiamien Osarabo. But because they are not interested in finding that young man, they are, or probably they know what happened to him. They don't want to tell us. That is why they were bold enough to go ahead to do what they did. So, assuming they don't know what happened to him, they are actually looking for him. The money they are spending, the energy, the resources can be pulled together and look for what happened to this young man or their Ogiamien. They could find out what happened to him. But no, they decided to spend this money, energy to challenge the whole Edo people, because a challenge at our king is a challenge on all of us. An insult at our king is an insult to all of us. When you change the history of Edo, you are changing my history. And when you change my history, you are changing my identity. When you are changing my identity, you are telling me I don't know where I come from. And that can make us brutal. That can make us brutal. Now, you see, he now went on to say that the Court of Appeal ruled that the Ogiamien is a distinct royal family from Benin, that the Ogiamien only became a chief to the Oba in 1979. Lie. Ogiamien was drafted as a king by Oba Ewedo after that agreement. After that agreement, Ogiamien decided to be submissive to the Oba. He was just an opposing force. So after the part of the treaty is that he was now submissive. That was actually that Ogiamien became his title after Oba Ewedo. As at this time, he was still known as Erebo. But they are trying to twist it now that he was not always known as Ogiamien. Even his father, who was Avian, was not even known as Ogiamien. It was Erebo that was boasting that Ogiamien Aemioba. Ogiamien Aemioba. And I've seen a lot of people saying, where does the word Oba of Benin come from? That the Ogiso, that the word Ogiso is the title for the kings of Benin. That where does the word Oba came from? I'm telling a lot. The first Ogiso of Benin Kingdom was called Obagodo. Obagodo was the name of that first Ogiso. The very first Ogiso before Ogiso Ere. So Obagodo, anybody can come like our new king. Maybe the day he was enthroned, when he was taking the title of Oba Eware II, he could decide, say, okay, from now on, I want us to change from Oba. I want the title to be addressed as Ogiso. We could equally start calling him Ogiso Ey, if he so choose. What we call culture, tradition, started one day. It becomes culture when it has become a constant practice over a long period of time. It becomes culture. But it started one day. So some cultures are started, some cultures are ended. So the word Oba came from the name of our very first Ogiso, which is Obagodo. But we call him Ogiso Igodo. But Igodo is actually a short form of his name. Obagodo was his name. So if that, even the Yoruba that they are trying to say, there is no meaning of anything in Oba in Yoruba language. But Benin, we have Oba, either means red or something that is hard. In Benin, Oba, that is red. And if you want to interpret it from that angle, do you understand why our king is usually wearing red ododo? Do you know why they wear red? It could come from there. Then secondly, there is another Oba also means something that is hard. So rulership, maybe if somebody was born through difficulty, you could say Oba. So, but we could find meanings for our word Oba in Benin, but there is no word for that in Yoruba. There's no word for that in Yoruba. Oba is just now an abstract word in Yoruba language. So, but Benin, we can lay claim to it. Now, he said one thing, he said, if the Oba of Benin did not conquer the Ogiamien before the colonial time, how did the Oba of Benin become superior to the Ogiamien? What was the Ogiamien for the Oba of Benin to conquer? Ogiamien was a part of the Benin family that revolted against the rulership of his kingdom. There was nothing to be conquered. He revolted against the rulership of his people. Because Avian was made an administrator when Ogiso Owodo died, and Ikala Deran was on exile, self-exile. Then there was a lacuna. There was a lacuna in government when Owodo was banished to Ini and eventually died. So because of the feat, the bravery of Avian, because he killed Osogan, then the Dionysian turned it necessary to put him in a rulership position to fill the gap until they find a solution. That is what happened. But now, this person now twisted history. Now, I'm coming to the most interesting part of their narrative. He said that the origin of the Ogiamien, this is what he's quoting verbatim. He said, historically, we are told that Ogiamien are descendants of Ogiso Evian, who was the younger brother of Ogiso Owodo. And now every historian will know that this is false. Linda Cassidy, if you are listening to me, because Linda Cassidy is actually our class prefect. So he's very good. He studied Edo history in the university. Now, please, I know I've been doing Edo history. I've been teaching a lot of Edo histories. I want you to understand that I am not a historian. I didn't even study it in university. I didn't study history in university. I studied law and I studied multimedia. These are the things I study. And I also study film production. These are my areas. But I just pick interest in the history of my people. Because I started picking interest when I was making a research to write a script on Izodua. I actually have a script written, a movie script written on Izodua. Not Odudua, Izodua from the Benin narrative. So while I was making a research on that, I became very intrigued in the history of our people. So I decided to make research. So all these things I'm teaching you, I taught myself. I didn't go to any university to learn it. I taught myself. So I have that script written down, Izodua. pending when I have the funding to do it, because I don't want to just to do any just quick movie, because the history is very, very important to me. It's very, very pertinent to my history, to the culture of the Edo people. I want it to be a movie that will be well funded, that will go through cinemas around the world. That is why the script is kept aside. Until I get funding for that movie, I may never even produce it. But if God provides funding for it, we will produce it, and we will tell our own story, not the one they are telling you. So there are people who study this thing in school. Somebody like Linda Cassidy that is always with us, following us whenever we do Edo history. Now look at what this man is saying. All right, okay, now Linda, okay, Linda is online. Now, listen, Linda and my people, listen. He said that historically, that they are told that Ogiamien are descendants of Ogiso Evian. He said Ogiso Evian. And he also said that Ogiso Evian was the younger brother of Ogiso Owodo. So he was indirectly saying that the Ogiamien are the descendants of the Ogisos. And this is distortion of history. First, Evian was never Ogiso. He was never an Ogiso. Evian was never an Ogiso. Evian was a blacksmith. Ogiogun Rano, Ogiogun. So he was a blacksmith and very courageous. When the Osogan came and terrorized Benin, he succeeded in killing the Osogan by putting a very hot iron in fire and throw it into the mouth of the Osogan, and the Osogan died or disappeared, whatever. So what was for him to now say that Evian was a younger brother of the Ogiso Owodo is a distortion of history. Is a distortion of history. Now, he was trying to say when Ogiso Owodo died, then his younger brother Evian was now put to replace him. If Evian was the younger brother of Owodo, why did the Edionisen, the Uzama, have problem with him? Because it has happened before. If you look at but before I take you to that, look at another thing he said. He said that the Oba family are known to be the descendants of Oromia through Oduduwa. Now, this young man was trying to say that the Oba family are the descendants of Oromia, and that Oromia and Ogiso Owodo have no connection. He said Oromia and Ogiso Owodo have no connection. That Evian is the immediate elder brother of Owodo. Now, my question is this. If you look at the Oriagba family, the Oriagba, when we talk about the Ogiso Oriagba, when Ogiso Oriagba was ruling, I told you then that he gave birth to Ogiso Odoligi. And Oriagba was one of the Odion Wire Ogiso. But because that's at that time, they were the oldest person in the kingdom was given the Ogiso. So, but Oriagba changed the system and groomed his son Odoligi to take after him. And his son Odoligi actually took after Ogiso Oriagba. And Odoligi became Ogiso. And he ruled very well. And when Odoligi died, the son of Odoligi was Ogiso Uwa, took over after him. Now, when Uwa ruled and died, his son Ogiso Ehenede took after him. Now, unfortunately, Ogiso Ehenede did not have any son. He had only daughters. So when he died, there was no son to continue his legacy. The Edionise, in their wisdom, they went to the younger brother of Ogiso Oriagba and followed his lineage and found that Ohuede was already the Okaigbe of the Oriagba family at Ini. So they now brought Ohoe there and make him Ogiso in Godomigodo. Now, it has, so in history, that precedent has been established that when an Ogiso died, the lineage of his brother can be, a king can come from that lineage. So Dionysian didn't have problem with that. That is why after Ogiso Ohoe there, because after he died, now that is the descendant of the second lineage of Oriagba, Ohoe. After Ohoe died, his son Ogiso Oduwa ruled after him. After Ogiso Oduwa, his son Ogiso Obioye ruled after him. After the death of Obioye, his son Ogiso Arigo ruled after him. After the death of Arigo, his son Owodo ruled after him. Assuming that Owodo had a brother like they are trying to claim as Evian and he died without an heir, the Dionysian would not have any problem bringing Evian to rule. So, if Evian was actually a son of Ogiso, Ogiso Arigo, there wouldn't have been any need for the Dionysian to go to Ife to go and ask Izodua to come and rule in the kingdom. So this narrative is wrong, it's false. Evian was never the son of Ogiso Arigo. Evian was never an Ogiso. Evian leadership was a period of interregnum when there was an imbroglio, a vacuum in the kingdom, and they now asked him, because of his bravery, because he became popular after killing Osoga, they now asked him to become the king. I mean, not king, the leader. He was never crowned king. Even his son, Erebo, when he wanted to bequeath rulership to his son, Erebo, the Dionysian revolted against it. That is where the problem started from. So, my people, there are so many history twisters, distortion. Okay, now, look at what he said. He claimed that there was a kingdom in Ife that, there's something that he said. He said that Oromiyan was the grandson. He said Oromiyan was the grandson of Oduduwa. That Oduduwa had only one son named Akombi. Now, let me tell you this thing. There's this, in the history of Oduduwa by the Yoruba people, there are many versions. The Yoruba have a lot of kings. So every king is telling a version that make them superior, that kind of made them superior to the other. When the Alafin of Oyo narrate their history, they try to put their own supremacy above the supremacy of the Oni of Ife. So also the people of Egba land. So all these Yoruba kings, they have different versions of their history. Now, one of such version is that in history is that Akombi is actually the wife of Oduduwa. The wife of Oduduwa that gave him 7 sons. Now, a recent version have been concocted to say Akombi is not actually the wife of Oduduwa. That Akombi is the only son of Oduduwa that gave him 7 sons. That when Oduduwa died, he had only one son, Akombi, and Akombi now eventually had 7 sons. So they will tell you they are not 7 sons, that they are 14 sons. So it depends on this version that suits them, they tell you. But this Sidney, who called himself an Edoman, in order to discredit our king and our history, decided to side with the version that says that Akombi is a son of Oduduwa. So he now said that Ogiamien was a grandson of Oduduwa, that Oduduwa had only one son named Akombi. So it is evident now, even the Yoruba people are struggling to authenticate this error without sources. Because when you go to Yoruba forum, when they are debating, when one states this particular one, another one will attack him because maybe this one is from Egba land, the other one is from Ijebu. So they are fighting for supremacy of their story. So this is the side that this young man, Sidney Johnson, look at his name, not even Benin name anywhere, is trying to authenticate. He claimed that there was a kingdom in Ife that time under the rule of Obatala. He said there was a kingdom in Ife as at that time before the coming of Oduduwa, and the person that was ruling in Ife at that time was called Obatala. So, my people, any son who sides with the lies of his father opponent is nothing but a bastard. This Johnny Sidney is not an Edo man. Any child that sides with the opponent of his father is a bastard. That is how you know a bastard. That is how you know a bastard. All this mythical concussion of some of the Yoruba people is what he has decided to call history, because he is desperately looking for something to give him relevance. So he said it is not known in history that Ikaladeran left with soldiers. He said it is how did Ikaladeran now go to Ife and conquer Ife? There is no time that Benin history said Ikaladera went on a conquest. Ikaladera never went to Ife on a conquest. He never went on behalf of the kingdom. He never went as a representative of the Ogiso. Ikaladera went to Ife when he was escaping for his life. He didn't go there to conquer anybody. Eventually, he didn't even go to Ife from the beginning. He went to Utantan when he left Benin. He went to Utantan and settled in Utantan until he was discovered. Then he now left, and when he got, and he kept on moving until he come to a place where the language were no longer the language of the Benin. So when he got to this Ife, he now proclaimed Ilefe. He now said, Ilefe, I have escaped. That is how he escaped to Ife. He didn't go there to go and conquer. He didn't dare to with a bunch of army of conquest. So who is telling him this story that he went to go and conquer? In our question, he said, how long will it take Ikaladeran to build an army to fight from Benin to Ife and overpower Obatala? Now, now, my people, look at this story. If this young man is finding it hard to even believe that somebody could assuming that Ikaladeran went with army, if he's finding it hard that somebody could leave Benin for Ife, a journey of less than 300 miles, kilometers, a journey of less than 300 kilometers, if he's finding it hard that an army could leave from Benin to Ife, why did he now believe that Oduduwa is a prince of Saudi Arabia and came with army all the way from Saudi Arabia on a journey of more than 3,000 kilometers? A journey of more than 3,000 kilometers. How did Oduduwa come with his army, with his weapon, feeding the army on the way? They did not meet any kingdom on the way. All the countries between Saudi Arabia and Ife, they did not meet the Nubian, the Ethiopian, the Egyptian, They didn't meet the Libyans. They didn't meet Chad people. They didn't meet Zebrema people. They didn't meet the Tuaregs. They didn't meet all this Hausa. They didn't meet Nupe. They didn't meet any of this the Kanem Bono people. They didn't meet all of them. They didn't fight them. They just marched all the way from Saudi Arabia, and they just appear at Ife. Voila. And this young man believes such story more than